Hi, my name is Julie and I live in the United States. I live in the state of New York. I am a 41-year-old female who has been diagnosed with a general lymphatic anomaly in addition to a central conducting lymphatic anomaly. My diagnosis goes back and forth between GLA and CCLA based on how I present. The journey to my diagnosis was accidental, much like a lot of us with this condition. I am very fortunate that I was not diagnosed until I was a 36-year-old, based upon the fact that I had no symptoms or issues as a child. I went to the hospital in February of 2018 when I thought I had the flu. I was very sick and dealing with a virus. When I got to the hospital, they performed a chest x-ray on me to look for pneumonia. While I did not have pneumonia, they were able to see a mass in my mediastinum that seemed concerning. They were not sure what this was from, and their first conclusion, that based upon my symptoms and the mass, was that I perhaps had lymphoma. A biopsy was done by a thoracic surgeon, and after this procedure, the surgeon instantly knew that I did not, in fact, have lymphoma. It was sent to pathology, and it took some time for that information to come back, considering what they were looking at with my tissue sample was not very common. After it was looked at, it was finally decided upon that I was carrying a lot of issues surrounding my lymphatic system and certain things that they were seeing. The doctor at NYU was able to help direct me into finding a doctor that might be able to help me. Dr. Denise Adams and her team were still at Boston Children's Hospital at this time. I sent all of my paperwork there and all of my information, and their team reviewed it. After they decided they might be able to help me, I started seeing Dr. Adams and her team at Boston, where we were further able to figure out what was going on with me. Since then, Dr. Adams has moved to CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and I have continued to see her there, in addition with Dr. Allison Pishko at Penn, who sees adults for this condition. I do feel extremely fortunate that I have the best care in the world, and that these doctors know what they're looking at and what they're seeing and are able to help me as best as they can. In terms of genetic testing, I've been told that it's almost like finding a needle in a haystack in terms of looking for certain markers. We are still waiting on my genetic testing to come back with some sort of information that might be helpful. I find this all to be very promising for my future in terms of a medication that they might be able to put me on that would help target my lymphatic system and the cells, and how that would help me in the future. I have been on sirolimus in the past, and that medication did not seem to work for me or improve my condition. As I said earlier, I've been very fortunate in that I have not had a lot of issues or symptoms in dealing with my condition. I had an MRL done recently by Dr. Dory a couple months ago, and that information also was able to show me how my lymphatic system is wired and why I have not been leaking fluid or having any sort of side effects that are common with our condition. I think for me, the biggest bit of advice that I would give is to try and gather as much information as possible, because all of our cases present so differently, and no two cases or humans that carry this condition look the same. So for me, just seeing and trying to be in contact with the best doctors in the world to try and help me and understand how my body is operating has been very instrumental for peace of mind for me. I've been able to not obsess about this or worry about what might happen to me in the future, and instead recognize that I am really healthy right now. My body is functioning just fine. I have 3 children. I have 3 sons who are the light of my life. Pregnancy is known to potentially make our conditions worse. I was not aware of my condition during my first 2 pregnancies. I consider myself very lucky and very grateful for the doctors that are in my corner, and, you know, for my own stability with my health. And I do know that if something were to arise with me, that I have people who understand this condition as best they can, and there's constant new research being done. And in the meantime, I will wait for my genetic testing to come back and continue to be in touch with my doctors, and take it one day at a time. So I wish everybody with this condition the best of luck, and it can feel overwhelming for me at times because even though I know what my diagnosis is, I still some days don't even fully understand it. But I do know that there are people out there that want to help us, and I appreciate you all for having conferences like this to, you know, help better the future for people, for adults and children with conditions like mine. Thank you. Have a good day.